So for this particular pattern, I've just added 3 rows of double crochet, and then the corners I have done just like a traditional granny square, so the corners do have a chain too. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll just show you how I've done that in case you want to replicate the same look. So I've got another yarn, 4-ply as well. It's not actually the same. This is a commercial. This is Drops Alpaca blend, but it's 4-ply and it works well with the Lottie Knits sock. So I wanted a really good contrast to highlight these bright colours. So we're going to start in a corner. So as you know, with these little motifs, the corner is the double treble, or the triple treble if you're using British terminology. So the only thing is, I would not start in the corner where you ended the round. I would start in any other corner. So you find your 3 stitches in the corner, and then you find that middle double treble or triple treble, and you go through both loops of that stitch, and then you join the yarn. And I like to do that by holding a tail end at the back, pulling a loop through, and now I'm going to chain 4, which will represent a double crochet and a chain 2 space. So I always do a chain 4, because if I do the traditional chain 5, I end up with a hole that is too big. However, if you know that you don't have a problem with a chain 5 representing a double crochet and chain 2 space, then do a chain 5, but that's completely up to you. I've just done a chain 4. Then we're going to double crochet in the exact same corner stitch. In fact, we're going to put 2 double crochets into that corner stitch, and then it's really straightforward. We are just putting 1 double crochet into each of our stitches from our mini square. So until we get back to that middle stitch. So what you should have is you should have a chain 4 and 2 double crochets in that, or 2 trebles if you're doing British terminology, in that first corner stitch, and then you should have 2, 4, 6, 8 double crochets before you make the next corner. So this is assuming that you've put the correct number of stitches into your mini square. So in that corner we are putting 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. So that's our corner made. Now we're moving on to the next side, which should be 1 double crochet in each stitch, or 1 treble if you're doing UK terminology, and that is for 8 stitches. Two, 4, 6, 8. I'm on track. It is a bit more tricky keeping track of these corners when there's not a chain 2 space, but after a while you do get used to it. So in this next corner I am putting 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, another 1 double crochet into each of the next 8 stitches, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and another corner. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Now I'm going to finish off this last side, which should just be 8 double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now all we've got to remember is finish off this first corner, because it's not a complete corner. We've got a chain here representing a double crochet and a space, so we need 1 more double crochet in that very first spot. Now you're going to join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of your beginning chain 4, or 3rd chain of your beginning chain 5, whichever one you decided to go for. So we have got 1, 2, 3, it's there, and as always remember, treat that chain like a normal stitch, front loop, back loop. You should have the back ridge of the chain at the back. Avoid just going around the chain, because it makes an uneven hole. So this is what it looks like at the end of this first border round. And you should have a total of 12 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 on each side, and a chain 2 space in each corner. Let's do round 2 of the border. This is pretty straightforward. It's more or less the same as what we've just done. So to set ourselves up in the right position, we are going to slip stitch into this little chain 2 space you've got here. Then we're going to do the same thing, which is as the previous round, which is chain 4, or if your preference is chain 5, do a chain 5. 2 double crochet into that same space, and proceed to put 1 double crochet into each of the 12 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back when I get to the next corner. Coming up to the next corner, and it's the same as the previous round. 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and the next side is the same. The only thing you've got to keep a little bit of an eye out for is this very first stitch, which you might skip by accident, because when you've made your corner it can sometimes overlap that first stitch. So if you're finding yourself a stitch short, it might be that stitch after the corner. So basically this is it for this round. You're putting 1 double crochet into each of the 12 on each side, and then you're doing a corner in a chain 2 space, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. So I'm going to carry on in that sequence, and I'll meet you at the end of this second round of the border. Coming up to the end of this round 2. So as you come up to the last stitch, obviously that last stitch is actually a slip stitch. So what I do is I actually just work into that slip stitch rather than trying to work into whatever stitch was there before. So I've done my 12 double crochets along this last edge, and now to finish off this corner I'm just going to put 1 more double crochet in that corner, and then join with a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of your beginning chain. 1, 2, 3 through both loops, front loop, back loop, and slip stitch. So in the piece that I made, because I was doing quite a bit of playing around with construction and knowing where to put things, the process I used for this was actually just to finish on this round. So I actually fastened off at this point, and then once I made a whole bunch of these, I used the continuous join method to, in the 3rd round, join all of these in one go. but that's obviously a slightly more advanced technique. Not impossible or not difficult, but I'm not going to be covering that in this video. Instead, I'm going to just show you how to do the third round, and then if you can join either by sewing or crocheting together, or even join as you go in the final round with this, rather than round 3, rather than the continuous method. Okay, so you'll probably more or less know what to do for round 3, and even if you wanted to add extra rounds, you just follow this same sort of process again. So slip stitch into the corner, chain 4 or 5, whatever your preference is, and 2 double crochet. At this point you should have 16 stitches on each side, because you had 12 the previous round, and of course every round we're increasing 2 in the corner, 2 in each corner. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So we're going to put 1 stitch into each of these double crochets, so there should be 16, and then not like that, because that's made a pig's ear out of that. Split the yarn, and then when you come to the corner you're going to do exactly the same thing that you did for round 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. 16 double crochets, each corner 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Coming up to the end of this third row, and again I've got this little slip stitch area here, so I'm going to go into the slip stitch. Finish off the last corner by putting another double crochet in that space, and then 1, 2, 3 slip stitching into that third chain, and then cut the yarn. In this case I'm having to use a pair of kitchen scissors, seeing as my other scissors are mysteriously gone missing, and pull the tail end through to fasten off. So there we go, that's the full effect of the piece of fabric I showed you at the beginning of the video. So that is actually, I'm hoping, not entirely sure yet, I'm still playing around with it, I'm hoping to make this into like a tunic dress. So I think that would look pretty cool with a pair of black tights and big old boots. But obviously, you know, there's probably endless possibilities of things you could do with this little motif. So the other thing I just wanted to mention, which you probably already know if you follow me, is that I do tend to use natural materials. With this kind of motif, where you're hoping to get a good drape and also good stitch definition, this isn't really going to work with acrylic yarn. So with this one, obviously when you've got wool or natural fibres, they have good stitch definition, so after you've blocked it they tend to keep their shape much better. Well, this kind of wool, this is merino wool, it has got a small amount of nylon in because it's a sock yarn, but I haven't tried this particular motif with acrylic. It may be okay once you've joined it overall like this and all the corners are being pulled in together and it's pulling the square into shape, but I think if you're looking for a standalone super square motif, unless you're willing to relax the acrylic with some heat, some serious heat, I'm not sure you will get this desired effect.